In episode 5, the DWL crew is practicing that week's main event. It's going to be a steel cage match between Bobby Pins and Ace. But before they practice the actual finish, Crystal hops on the mic because she wants to show off some of her skills. As she's berating the would-be crowd, Ace says, "Yeah, I don't like this at all." Crystal's a little downtrodden, but Jack pulls her aside and says, "Look, now that I know that you can memorize lines like that, I'm going to write for you. You did a good job." But as Ace and Bobby start practicing the ending to the match, Ace continues to be a dick to Bobby for really no reason. And everybody is unaware of the fact that Ace is being a dick because he's convinced that Bobby is moving in on his valet. The main event practice, though, is interrupted when representatives from the Georgia State Fair call Willie and let her know that they're interested in possibly bringing the DWL to the Georgia State Fair, which would bring a lot of eyeballs to the DWL product. This is a really exciting opportunity for Jack. So they're going to send 3 representatives down for that week's show to see if it fits with their brand. Afterwards, Jack gets his exercise in by running home when Wild Bill rolls up. Wild Bill just got done with a very weird press conference where he took absolutely zero responsibility for what happened on the plane, but finished it up with saying, "I'm going to rehab." You get the feeling, though, he's not actually going to rehab because the media never follows up on that sort of thing. He's just saying it to save face. But Wild Bill is down on his luck, even though he won't show that. He's tracked Jack down because he tells him, "Well, while I'm in town, I feel like I could help out." Problem is, Jack didn't really like Wild Bill before he stayed at Willie's. He figured that Wild Bill was poaching Ace. But after the whole incident that happened at Willie's, Willie told Jack, and now Jack really doesn't like him. So Jack makes it clear, "You're washed up. No one needs you. Stay away from the DWL." He then goes inside because he's going to have to take Thomas that day. It's Stacy's first day at the grocery store, so responsibilities of a child are going to fall on Jack. And Stacy is killing it on her first day. The manager even makes a comment like, "Geez, you're gunning for my job." So everything's going well until she hears something break in an aisle. And when she goes to investigate it, it's Wild Bill who dropped a pickle jar. And Wild Bill is shocked to see that Stacy Spade is having to work. He makes a comment like money must be tight around the Spade household. And she says, "No, Bill, I'm working because I choose to work. That's how our family runs things." But Wild Bill continues his jabs and insults. And eventually Stacy gets sick of it and says when Jack gets the Georgia State Fair, he's going to prove you wrong on this. And this is the first that Wild Bill is hearing about the Georgia State Fair. So he leaves Stacy alone to clean up the mess and starts trying to think of an idea of how he can make this work for him. But as Wild Bill was getting on Stacy's case, the DWL crew had gone back to the Dome to once again go through practice and figure out the schedule. And Crystal is in the balcony with Bobby stressed out because she took her whole paycheck, which was about $100, and put it on the Reds-Cardinals game. And if she wins, she's going to use the money to buy a new outfit. As she's trying to pay attention to the game, Willie yells, "Hey, where's Ace?" And Crystal yells, "I don't know where he is." And Willie says, "Well, you should. You're his valet, so go find him." And that's going to be tough to do because Ace has completely skipped rehearsal. Doesn't really matter. He knows where he's going to be in the show. And before going over that night's card, Jack gets the entire group pumped up, letting them know that reps from the Georgia State Fair are going to be in attendance. After practice wraps up, that's when Ace finally decides to show up. But as he's rolling into the parking lot, he sees Crystal and Bobby hugging. And that's because Crystal just won her bet, so she's just excited that she's got money. Doesn't matter, though. Ace has shown up with a new girl. Well, not technically new. It's the bartender who he had sex with the other night. But he storms into Jack's office and says, "This is Trisha, and she's my new valet." So this was completely unexpected. Jack sends Debbie to go find both Bobby and Crystal. And Crystal just got done buying her new outfit, which, I mean, it looks great on her, but it's definitely not worth $109. It's just a cheerleading outfit. She probably could have made that at Goodwill. Doesn't matter, though. She's feeling herself. I respect it. But both Bobby and Crystal are very surprised when they walk in the office and they see Trisha. Although Ace isn't the one to break the news to Crystal. Jack tells her that night they're going to sign autographs together just like every other night. But then Ace is going to go out to the ring and announce that he found out that she was cheating on him. They're going to set up a little photo shoot with Crystal and Bobby so Ace at least has some proof. And then Trisha will take over as the new valet. And this catches Crystal completely off guard. She is hurt. Ace will then mention how Crystal broke his heart, but lucky for him, he has a big rod, so he has no problem catching fish. That's when Trisha comes out. The plan is then to keep Bobby and Crystal together for a little bit. But Crystal looks over at Ace like, "Dude, what the hell?" And Jack tells her, "No, this was my idea," even though it wasn't. As everyone's kind of leaving the room, Crystal pulls Ace aside and says, "Why didn't you come talk to me about this?" And Ace pulls the, "It's nothing personal, it's just business" line that Crystal doesn't believe at all. She has to get dressed, though, because they need to stage these photos with Willie and Bobby. They head down, and at first, these staged photos are cringeworthy. Willie has to tell Bobby, "It needs to make it look like you actually find her attractive." So that's when Crystal starts straddling him and making out with him. And the photos look great, but it definitely wakes up Bobby's pin, if you know what I mean. And while Willie was taking photos of Bobby and Crystal, Jack had to head off with Thomas because before that night's match, he needed to meet with the 3 reps from the Georgia State Fair. And they let him know that none of them are really wrestling people, but data shows that regional wrestling promotions are big in Georgia. They noticed the DWL because of all their promotion on social media. So Jack starts trying to sell it, but it's actually Thomas who sells it the best. He explains to people why folks in Duffy are so invested with it. It's because of the storyline. You end up coming back every week to find out if that bad guy is going to end up seeing the light and becoming a good guy. The Georgia State Fair reps are really impressed with Thomas. This dinner with the Georgia State Fair reps causes Jack to miss the autograph signing, and it's a doozy. You've got Crystal and Ace signing together, but Crystal is throwing jab after jab at Ace to the point where he gets up to go to the bathroom. And then you have Wild Bill show up. Actually pay for a ticket, but most of the fans that are there immediately turn their attention to the DWL vet. With Ace in the bathroom, Wild Bill sits right down next to Crystal. Right off the bat, Wild Bill starts complimenting Crystal on her ability to be a valet. Then when one of the fans asks Wild Bill for a picture and hands the phone to Crystal, Wild Bill yells at the fan saying, "She's not taking the picture. She's going to be in it. She's a rising star." Debbie then pulls Wild Bill away from the table because when she saw him, she knew that there was trouble. Jack had told Wild Bill that he wasn't supposed to be there. Debbie found out about it, so she's there to nicely tell him to go away. But Wild Bill tells Debbie, "You've known me since I was a rookie. I mean, what am I really going to do?" So Debbie tells Wild Bill to just stay in the back, make sure that Jack doesn't see him, don't cause a stir. And the crowd there for that show is huge. Most of the wrestlers are pumped about it. All but one. Rooster. Shocking, I know. There's a battle royal that night, and Diego and Rooster are supposed to be the last 2 men standing, with Diego winning. But when Diego walks in and sees that Rooster's pissed off, he knows why. And honestly, he's just sick of it. He's sick of Rooster whining. So he says, "All right, well, if you want to win the royal so badly, I don't care about it, man. I just want to wrestle. So I'll go over the top rope. I'll say I tripped." Rooster is surprised that Diego is willing to do it, but Diego's point is, what is Jack really going to do? Run out and reverse the call? Yeah, he's going to be pissed off, but if I say I tripped, I tripped. And while Diego was changing the ending to the Battle Royale, Crystal was outside putting her makeup on when Wild Bill once again runs into her. He gives her the suggestion of pulling her hair back when she walks out to the ring because her face is a bigger draw than any of the muscle out there. He says, "That's why Ace is so caustic. His valet's getting bigger pops than him. I probably would be too." But she lets him know that the whole valet thing is ending after tonight's show. And Wild Bill can't believe that that's Jack's vision. He says, "Man, that is so short-sighted, protecting the feelings of his man-child brother." In my day, these things weren't so scripted. This league has a little buzz right now because he went off script. Jack was smart. He continued to do a little unscripted stuff. So if you get a feeling, lean into it. If it's not scripted to be your time and you think it should be, then make it your time. Make everybody else react to what you do. And for the first time in her career, Crystal is thinking about going off script. And speaking of that script, Ace is upstairs in Jack's office going over that script on what he's going to say to Crystal. And Ace kind of improvises a little too much. He's planning on calling Crystal a cam girl, amongst other things. Jack has to remind him, you got to ratchet it back, man. We're a family show. If you write what I've written for you, the crowd will turn on her. Willie then comes in the room and lets Ace know that he's going to have to head down and start getting ready because the Battle Royale is going on and they're the next match afterwards. But as they're getting dressed and ready to go out, Crystal notices that Trisha is looking at her. And she says, "Is there something I can help you with?" And Trisha looks her up and down and says, "I was just going to tell you a place you can get your roots done that won't make your hair look so bleached." This is like the third or fourth bitchy thing that Trisha has said to Crystal. So Crystal pushes her. They get into a little bit of a cat fight. Bobby tries to break it up. Ace starts pushing Bobby. The whole thing gets broken up, but Crystal's $109 outfit does end up getting ripped. Willie has to patch it up in the meantime. Crystal is crying, but she has to wipe the tears away because they're up next, and the Battle Royale only has 2 men standing in it. Now, the original plan is for Diego to win, but he's planning on improvising with Rooster to let Rooster win. But as Rooster is ready to throw him out of the ring, he hears the crowd chanting his name. And he suddenly decides, nah, let's stick with the script. So Diego Cottonmouth ends up reversing it and chucking Rooster over and winning. And the crowd starts booing relentlessly. When Rooster goes back in the locker room, people are congratulating him, but he's got an attitude about him. And when Jack walks up to him, he just turns to Jack and says, "What's my name?" Because he really believes that Jack doesn't know his actual name. So not only does Jack tell him his name, he tells him his nicknames. He understands why Rooster is mad, but he reiterates that his time will come. It's also a big night, so the DWL needs to finish this night, wrap up with the Georgia State Fair people, and then the next day he will go over whatever issues Rooster has with him. This seems to suffice for Rooster, so he's willing to put his issues with Jack aside for at least 24 hours. Now it's time for the main event. Bobby Pins heads out alone, and then Ace heads out with Crystal right behind him. But Crystal has really thought about what Wild Bill has told her. So when Ace grabs the mic and says, "I have something to tell y'all," Crystal grabs it from him and starts completely reversing the script. Instead of her being the bad guy, she ends up belittling Ace, owning up to cheating on him, but saying that it's because she needed a real man. Ace wasn't satisfying her. And the more she talks, the angrier Ace is actually getting. She calls him a whiny crybaby, going back to him crying in the ring with the screw job, and this heel is being laughed at by the crowd, and he's not taking it well. But Crystal does shine with her mic skills. The crowd was supposed to hate Crystal after this, but because it was her that grabbed the mic and her telling her side of the story, they end up loving her for it. It makes Ace's character look really pathetic, and she tells him, "By the way, we're through. I'm with Bobby Pins now." Jack tells her to get out of the ring immediately. And right before the match starts, Ace walks up to Jack and says, "What the hell was that?" But Jack, trying to regain order, just tells him, "Get to your spot, get ready to start." And when the match starts, Ace goes in on Bobby. I mean, he's actually hitting him. He's going way too rough. Bobby continues to take it in stride, but he's not exactly liking it. At one point, Ace tells him to go to the top of the cage and do a suplex, which is something that Bobby has never done. And Bobby goes through with it, but it definitely hurts. With Bobby writhing on the ground in pain, Ace grabs a leg and goes for a leg lock, and he's actually twisting up Bobby's leg. Bobby is screaming in pain, but Ace isn't letting it go. Even as Bobby taps, Ace isn't letting go. Jack starts screaming at Ace, "What the hell are you doing?" And Ace takes it so far that he ends up snapping Bobby's leg in half. I'm talking compound fracture. It leaves the crowd stunned. And this includes the people from the Georgia State Fair, who, before this, were having a great time. Luckily, though, they all think that this is scripted. They think that Bobby's injury was fake. They don't realize Bobby actually broke his damn leg. And as Bobby is being wheeled out by the medics, Ace is screaming in the ring. That's what happens when you mess with Ace Spade. As Jack is with Bobby in the back, all of a sudden he hears a familiar face over the sound system, and it's Wild Bill. Wild Bill had gone into the ring and grabbed the mic, and the crowd's going wild, so there's not a lot Jack can do about it. He can't shut it down because all the people there thinks this is a part of the script. Wild Bill starts going in on both Jack and Ace, saying that Tom Spade at least had his respect, but his two sons have driven the DWL into the ground. So he challenges both Spade brothers to a ladder match for the title. And Jack is forced to go out there with the title and say, "Fine, if you want your shot, you got it." But man, he is pissed off. After the show, most of the wrestlers end up heading to the hospital to wait for Bobby to get out of surgery. And when Ace finally shows up, Jack starts screaming at him, "You did the one thing that you cannot do." But Ace starts saying it was an accident, and he's sticking to that story, even though it was totally intentional. Jack ends up grabbing Ace and throwing him against a soda machine and saying, "You understand why I made you a heel? It's because you're a piece of shit." But then Ace notices that Thomas has walked into the room and has seen this interaction go down. And Thomas loves his Uncle Ace. So he's pretty mortified to see his dad accosting his uncle in a hospital, especially after everything that happened with the screw job incident. He ends up running away, but Jack doesn't have the time to go after him because Willie ends up handing a phone to him, and it's from the Georgia State Fair people. The good news is they loved it. They've given the DWL the space they need to perform at the fair. But Willie doesn't really care about that at this point. They've got a wrestler going through surgery, and she tells Jack, "I know you've got a lot on your plate, but your son has no idea what's going on. And he's terrified, so you need to talk to him." Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought this sucked. Make sure to be nice in the comment section. If you don't see the next video up in the end screen there, I'll get it up in a few days, not to worry. And I have merchandise, so go buy a mug or something. It's never too early to think about Christmas gifts, folks. Once again, thank you for checking out this recap.